Okay, how's it going, everyone? My name's Josh, and I'm here to talk about stereo equipment. And I'm here to give you kind of the lowdown on what type of equipment is available today, as far as what you can find with vintage stuff, and how the market has changed on these things. And I want to start off by talking about the reason I'm making this is because I'm actually going through and putting some stuff away. I'm getting rid of a whole bunch of things and I'm listing them up and getting rid of my stereo obsession after all these years I've been hanging on to them. But I've made videos like this in the past. The funny thing about stereo equipment is people are very obsessive. I've never seen so many pretentious, arrogant people when it comes to what people who call themselves audiophiles. So to clarify ahead of time, I'm not an audiophile, which is a lover of sound. I do love sound, but I'm not so obsessed that I let my placebo get in the way of enjoying it. I find the simple pleasures and some of the more affordable units can be just as good. So don't want to make this too long. This is for the person who says, I want to make a home stereo for myself. I don't want to buy a new unit that's a piece of crap, and I don't want to buy an expensive new unit because a lot of people will tell you vintage is better. That's not always true. Definitely not always true. Many of the modern components are built with high quality material, but they're thousands of dollars. And the average person really can't afford that much for their stereo system. So, as I was putting my stuff away, I came across this, and I made a video about these years ago. This is the Minimus 7. And this Minimus speaker, as it says, spectacular sound from a small speaker. These were sold at Radio Shack, I think, annually for about 30 years. These were some of the, some desirable speakers. These particular ones have the genuine walnut veneer. Look on the top. It gives you all the lowdowns of what's in it. They're 40 watts. And these ones back in the 80s, I think they were $59.99. So this is a $60 speaker. So I got these at Goodwill for 15 bucks a piece. They came in, yes, they came in the package. Not only that, but they've got the cards and everything. These are wonderful little speakers. And as you can see, I have one set up here already that I'll show you the details on. And these are just amazing for the size. And I'm going to compare these to my giant speakers out there. But as you can see, they're very simple. They have a small 4-inch woofer in there, if you want to call it that, and then a dome tweeter. Many different metal cases, white, black, different colors. Some of them have like a shiny ring around the inside. The point is that these things, after 40 years, still sound absolutely amazing. Now, I'm not saying that you're going to be able to find this specific pair. My point only being that some of this old stuff is easily findable and overlooked. When I saw these boxes sitting on the shelf at Goodwill, I was like, oh, I wonder if those are any good. Because realistic really is hit and miss. I wanted to compare that to this, which is an Infinity speaker. I also picked this up at Goodwill for 15 or 20 bucks. This is a center channel speaker, something you would have modern for your, home theater. This reproduces the sound of voices absolutely beautifully. And I love the speaker. It's phenomenal, but I really don't use a center channel speaker, so I just kind of use it as, a secondary speaker for my system. When I first started collecting stereos 10 years ago, you could go down and pick something up like this at Goodwill for 20 bucks. No shit. Old Marantz, phenomenal. I think I got this Newmark turntable down there for about 20 bucks as well, but that one was kind of beat up. Anyhow, this was actually inherited, but I have several different stereos like this that I bought in the last 15 years that I'm still working on. And so I'm going to bring you out here to compare the speakers here to make my point. This right here, these things are about 4.5 feet tall. They probably weigh over 100 pounds each. There's two 12s in there, two mids, and two tweeters. They are called the 600D by RTR. So the backs of them look like this. It's an RTR 600D. It's got the different controls for the, for the mid-range and the tweeters. And these are phenomenal speakers. They're loud as hell. But the average person will never have any use for these unless you're cranking it up like for a block party, you know? Even the subwoofer on top, which I picked up also at Goodwill, it's a Serwin Vega. It's a pretty decent little speaker. I just don't really find the use for it. I was interested in subwoofers and surround sound systems years ago, and then all I wanted eventually was to have a couple good speakers that worked for me. So on the note of these vintage units, they're really often overrated. This is a Pioneer. It's a SX750. I just pulled it out. It has never been cleaned. I got it at Goodwill. As you can see, it's got dust all over the transformers, you know, the caps, everything in here. And it needs to be totally blown out. I've replaced these lights in my other ones, which are, you know, that's great. You can replace lights, you can replace fuses, you can clean them out, you can totally restore them, refinish the cabinet and everything. But unless it's something that you're obsessed with, or you know, like working on stereos, I wouldn't recommend going that vintage route unless you buy one that's restored. Which brings me to the point here. What do I use for my own home stereo? People would be surprised to know that I don't really use anything high quality. In fact, a lot of my best speakers I don't even keep out here. But when I say best speakers, I'm talking about the perception or what society tells us are the best speakers and the best stereos. This right here is my amplifier that I use in here. It's a very simple unit. It's a Sansui. It's a 1980s unit. It's an A3100. There were many units made like this which were just based for amplifiers. You know, I don't need a tuner. I don't need a fancy dial that shows me the FM and AM stations because I don't listen to that crap. Nobody listens to the radio anymore, right? Anyhow, it's got dual speakers, lines that you can set up. Something simple like this you can pick up, and I believe I got this for about $10. You can find them at garage sales or anywhere. And yeah, it's pretty cheesy looking. I don't care. I don't care about having fancy Macintosh tubes everywhere and saying, ooh, look at how much I spent on my stereo. It's just so pretentious and arrogant. It's like people who spend a lot of money on their cars. I just really don't give a shit. Does your car drive? That's what matters to me. So, you know, I labeled them with my own stickers and whatnot so I know which channels are which. Turntables can get into the thousands of dollars. I got this Yamaha P750 for $25-30. It's a phenomenal record player. It's got a straight tone arm and, you know, yeah, it's direct drive, not a belt, which I like. So I also have a Kenwood processor over here that I use for my sound processing, a Pioneer Elite CD player, and an Onkyo Integra cassette deck because I still play tapes. But for my speakers, the ones that I use in here for my home theater are very simple. I've given up on center speakers, surround sound speakers, subwoofers. They're not necessary. I picked up a pair of these Bic Venturis. I think these are B52s, or not, maybe those are the other ones. These are what does it say? I can read it on my phone. V820, I think. Very simple. What, an 8-inch, and then a little dome tweeter. And then I also have this one up here, which is, these are actually some of the most famous and popular speakers out there, the Bose 301 series. They made these for years. And they're interesting the way they're set up with one subwoofer and then just the different directional mids, but no real tweeter. But they sound phenomenal. They're great speakers. And so having these on a second channel and these on my main channel is more than enough for sound. And I think I paid $20 for those, inherited these, and I got another pair for like $20 or something. You're not going to find these for $20 anymore. That's the point I'm making. But at the same time, you'll find newer units, you know, things that weren't available in the past. In other words, the things that we might look for, a silver-faced receiver or fancy, you know, tube amps, even though they're not as readily available anymore. And Goodwill does still have them, mind you. They just put them on their auction sites. But, because everybody got smarter, right? I mean, it's hard to find that gem. But you can still find them. You can find them in the bins, and if you know what you're doing and you know how to fix them up, This stuff, Deoxit, D5, spray this in the pots to clean out the volumes and all the controls. You can actually, this amplifier I picked up for $30 at Goodwill. It's a guitar amp. It's just an old crate, but it was only 30 bucks. It didn't work for shit, and I sprayed out all the pots. It works perfectly now. So you can fix some of these old things, but I guess I would say go for something in the 90s models. If you get early 90s model CD players, they can still be worth a lot of money. I mean, even amplifiers. That I've got several more modern amps that sound great too, but many of the controls are way too complicated. I don't like the way the dials work. I don't like the digital readouts. What I like is knobs. I like this. I like being able to turn something on, use it with a nice smooth flow, and feel what I'm doing with the controls. But that's just me. So those are my thoughts on stereos for the day, and guess it's just kind of a random time to do it, but I'm getting ready to put all these away and put a lot up for sale, so I thought it'd be a good time to kind of show what I got at the moment and discuss it, and tell people that really it's just kind of overblown. I have a video. It's one of the ones I get the most comments on about my stereo stuff. It's about speaker cables, and the video is pretty simple. It says, "Don't waste your money. Speaker cables, don't waste your money," is the title, and it goes on to say that yes, quality and the gauge does matter, or the size of the wire, but anything like past 12 gauge is kind of pointless, or 14 gauge. Basically, you can run most speakers with lamp cord, standard lamp wire. And people will tell you need to spend hundreds of dollars, if not thousands, on gold, braided, oxygen-free cable to make sure your speakers sound just right, and it's complete nonsense. Nonsense. Snake oil. Yes, you need to block certain signals from hitting your wires, right? Especially if they go by, say, a transformer. Sure, you might want shielding in your cables, but beyond that, if your stereo, when it's sitting neutrally without anything playing, if you don't have a lot of distortion or hiss, then there's really no need for it. People become overly obsessive about things that don't matter. And placebo effect allows us to think we can hear things that maybe we can't. And hell, maybe they can. I don't know. But point being, you don't need to spend as much as people say to have a damn good stereo system that'll sound good to you. What's more important than the slight difference in cable size might be the shape of your ear canals, the size of your room. I've seen people with $100,000 stereo systems that have no sound treatment or room treatment. They don't even know what that means. It means setting up baffles and making sure that the music carries properly. There's so much more to music than look at my shiny, beautiful new Macintosh. Look at all the tubes glowing. Oh, it sounds so good. Look at this super awesome $5,000 turntable needle and the, amazing $20,000 turntable. Oh, it sounds so much better than other turntables. And then they put on a record, and it all comes clear that it's all about the source material, right? Anyway, I laugh at some of those peeps, but it's just because if you've got, thousands of dollars to waste on stereo equipment, you're going to justify your purchases. Don't believe it. Yeah, there's nice equipment out there that sounds phenomenal, but unless you're going to sit there and listen to the same orchestra piece over and over, you're always going to have to be changing parameters for the situation you need, and you'll find what works for you. So go to a garage sale and buy yourself an old receiver and see how it sounds and experiment. That's all you can do. Peace out. Talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful day. I think I'm going to listen to some music now.